Number 3, if I want to increase my SNR by a factor of 2, how should I change the size of my aperture? Okay, so just for some background, if we assume that the photons arrive on the image sensor according to a Poisson distribution, then SNR scales with the square root of the number of photons. So just to kind of explain that a little bit more, our signal, which is going to be the average of our photons, is going to be the average of our Poisson distribution. So that's just going to be lambda. And then our noise, remember the equation for SNR is our average over our standard deviation, so our signal to noise. That's going to be the standard deviation of our Poisson distribution, which is going to be square root of lambda. So that means that our SNR is going to scale with the square root of the number of photons. So that leads us to the conclusion that if we collect more photons, then the image noise will decrease. So when we increase our SNR, image noise decreases. If we want to increase our SNR by a factor of 2, and SNR scales with the square root of the number of photons, that means that we want to increase the number of photons by 4, because the square root of 4 is 2, so we would then be increasing our SNR by a factor of 2. Okay, so then we know that we want to increase our number of photons arriving on the image sensor by 4. Okay, so there's a lot of text in the solution here, but we just need to remember that we want 4 times as many photons as we had before. That's right here. Okay, and then since we're asking about changing the size of our aperture, we know that if we open our aperture by 1 f-stop, that's going to double the number of photons. And if you want to get 4 times as many photons, then we need to double the number of photons twice. In other words, we need to open our aperture by 2 f-stops. So our answer is then just going to be 2 f-stops, and that will increase our SNR by a factor of 2.